Hi, once again this is Ed from ExoticBlanks, welcoming you to another video. This one's going to be a little different. This is turning a fountain pen, either the Atrax or the Triton. They both turn exactly the same, they both use the same bushings and so forth. So we're going to take it from the beginning and actually make a fountain pen from either the Atrax or the Triton kit. The one I'm actually going to be using will be the Atrax, and it will be the gunmetal version. I'm going to start out by using some of my favorite blanks from our friend John Underhill, who sells the pheasant feather blanks and other feather blanks on Exotics. These are probably the prettiest pens I ever make. I really enjoy working with John's feathers. So we'll start out with those blanks, and of course the first thing we're going to need is a set of bushings. The bushings are 4 to a set. 2 of which are exactly the same. Those are the 2 for the cap. And then the other 2, one is slightly larger than the other, as is shown on the picture here. The larger one is the one that will be used for the nib. That's the part where the fountain pen is. The other one is the one that will be called, or will be used for the finial, and that's the back side of the fountain pen. So that's what the body is, the nib and the finial. And then the cap is, of course, the center band and the clip or cap. When you start any blank, it's a little bit out of round. Nothing is mounted exactly square to the tube. And so you're going to hear some chattering and some noises. I left those in this particular case so that you can hear what it sounds like and it doesn't scare you when you start out and find out that you're making all kinds of strange noises. It really doesn't matter when you're early in turning a blank what sounds like or what it looks like. You're not doing anything except taking off a bunch of material that's going to have to come off eventually. Once you get down to where the thing is round, then you want to try to make sure that you're cutting and that you're not making any mistakes, because at that point, if you get a catch or a chip or whatever, you could ruin your blank or ruin what will become your pen. At this point, you have to make a pretty big mistake to be able to screw it up so bad that you can't get a pen out of it. So early on, you don't worry too much about the noises. As we get farther and farther, I'll let you hear it when have it actually round. And you'll hear that there are very few noises, almost nothing that you can hear. We're just cutting the resin. But that's all there is to it. You just take nice, easy passes, and if your tool is sharp, it will take off ribbons. And as you can see, that's what I'm doing here, just taking off a bunch of ribbons and making it a smaller blank. Notice that the ends here are clear. In other words, I did not face this blank before I started the turning. I did that intentionally because I don't like to use a facing tool on any kind of resin. I think it tends to break it more often than do anything else. So I will do the facing in just a couple of minutes here, but I just wanted to point out that it is going to need it. Both pieces are going to need it, and that's the part that I'm going to be taking off when you see the facing. On the cap piece, I'm going to show you a little closer view of it so that you can see how the tool works and so forth. I start at both ends and take off the 2 ends first. There's nothing to this. It's a matter of using the lower part of your skew and keeping the tool rest at about the center of your blank. So you're moving the tool rest to about the center, and then your tool is taking off material because you have a sharp point going against the material. And as you can see, once the 2 ends are off, then I just take easy cuts across from one side to the other, either left to right or right to left. It doesn't really make any difference. I prefer to go toward the headstock whenever possible because I feel like that's the stronger part of the lathe. The other thing to be aware of is that from time to time you may hear some chattering or feel some chattering. If that's the case, it's not a bad idea to just tighten your tailstock a little bit. Now, we have to be careful how we say that because people think, oh, well, I have to push that in so hard that I'll bend the mandrel. No, that's not necessary. But if you see that your 60-degree live center is not turning, or if it looks like it's not making real good contact with the dimple in the end of the mandrel, those are the things that tell you should tighten it up a little bit. And I mean a little bit, not a tremendous amount. When you push it together, you'll hear that the lathe will sound better. When it is not in all the way, when the Morse taper is not all the way in, you can actually hear kind of a rattling sound. And when you push it in with the tailstock, everything starts to sound better. Again, look at the ends here. You can see that I have clear spots at both ends. Again, this needs to be faced, and that will be the next thing that we'll show. I've made my own facing device, and I kind of like it, so that's the next thing we're going to be doing, is facing the blank. This is a 6-inch round piece of material. I believe it's oak. It's 2 inches thick, and I have mounted a nut on the back of it, which is actually a 1-inch 8 thread per inch nut. So essentially I've made a faceplate out of this, and then on the front side of it I've attached some Velcro that is permanently attached to the what we'll call the faceplate. And then I have the other half of the Velcro material on the back of the sandpaper piece. So as you can see, it's a 3-inch disc of sandpaper. So as I need to, I can change that by just taking it off of the Velcro and putting it on a different location, slightly different. It's never really necessary for it to be centered. So as you can see, I just put a punch into the Jacob's chuck on the tailstock and move it up and hold pressure against it, and basically that's the way that I'm taking off material, by sanding off the ends. And you can see that you can actually see the brass. This is the other half, the cap half, and I'm going to make this into 2 videos. This will be the end of this one, showing you this far, how to get it to the point where it's ready for final turning and polishing and assembly and all those things. The second video will go through the rest of the steps. This particular one has gotten to almost 8 minutes long, and I don't like to have videos that are that long. So that's all there is for this. It gets you as far as the rough part of the turning, and it's got it now so both of our ends are flush, and so from here on everything that we'll be doing is more finesse and less taking off useless material. So thanks for watching so far, and hope you see the second half. This is Ed saying thanks. Good night now.